Sorry, I try to give some anecdotes that sometimes I would say in the majority of the cases, people in reading the anecdotes that I've given in the book about exactly how it's difficult for female entrepreneurs to pitch to a room full of male VCs.
Mm-hmm.
In maybe 10% of the cases, somebody will come back and be like, oh, I don't understand what the problem is. I mean, maybe they just didn't like the concept. And that underscores the very thing that I want to talk about. When you're pitching in front of a bunch of male VCs, you're in the VCs, they're in their own little bubble in that moment where they don't realize the unconscious biases that they harbor walking into that room. So a great example of that is if you go all the way back to the research of Carol Gilligan, who's the Harvard psychologist from, again, about 20 years plus, and I think there's newer stuff from Taryn Marr, who talks about this, where women naturally speak a little differently than men. And this bifurcation in speech pattern and word usage happens very early in life, right or wrong, whether perhaps we should de-essentialize it from women, from gender, but it happens through socialization, and at the moment it just is, right? This is just how we behave in corporate America. Now, if you're with me so far, you'll notice that women sometimes speak, they imbue their assertions or their ideas or the things that they're talking about in a meeting with, hey, maybe this isn't a great idea, but I just want to throw it out there. Or I have this idea, I'm not sure, but I want to know what you think, right? So when a female entrepreneur or a female CEO speaks in that way to a room full of male VCs, the men hear some of those words and some of the word choices as being weak, as being passive, as somehow being non risk-taking or non-bold or non-ambitious. And I think that's hogwash, because really what it is, if you examine deeply why that language exists, is the way in which women are always speaking and including bids for inclusion, right? They're speaking in such a way where they're acknowledging subtly that, hey, this tribe that we're all a part of, we're all on the same team. And I'm not here, it's not an us versus them. This is an inclusive environment. And these words are meant to actually be bids for inclusion, for you to hear and subtly understand that I value your voice and your opinion as well. And I don't have, strict religion about this point that I'm advancing, but let's talk it out. Let's build consensus around this. So that's the reorientation. That's one specific one that I'd encourage people to think about, is to reprogram themselves to be better listeners, so that they're not listening to these things as weakness or non-assertiveness, but instead as a really positive thing, which is inclusiveness and consensus building.